Hey, what's up? I'm Roller Coaster Rider,
And I'm Kay. How are you doing?
and we're going to review a brand new series entitled Best Friends Whenever that aired for 2 seasons, total of 30 episodes on Disney Channel.
Yep.
Um, should we get in? Okay, let's just start with the plot. The plot involves Sid who living with Shelby because her parents are Arctic exploring in Peru.
Archaeology.
Yeah, archaeology in Peru shows you how smart I am. Um, and basically all of Sid's stuff is put away because,
Oh,
like,
it's in boxes.
yeah, it's in boxes because some of the stuff scares Shelby, like Zombozo, which is a
Yeah.
zombie clown.
Yeah. Life size almost.
Hmm.
Very large.
And let's see what else. And Sid wants to sleep. She actually goes back to sleep after being woken up, including like being yelled at. She still snores and being like pushed out of bed. She wakes up and then she falls back asleep.
Oh, she says, I hope you didn't wake me up before the alarm goes off.
Ah, ah, ah. No, I didn't. And then basically Sid is really hungry and they have to get to school early because they're doing a ask to the dance with who?
Some guy.
Okay. I'll
So
I'll have to I'll put
she's
it
got music,
I'll have to put in like a
his favorite smell in his
yeah, like
locker,
like body spray
confetti,
techno music or something.
confetti, and then up on the wall it says, "Will you go to the dance with me?"
Mm-hmm. I'll put a uh black screen with the name of the dude.
Okay.
Along the way, they go to Barry and Ronaldo, who are working on a machine that can essentially make hair grow back
Right. It's a
or make
laser
hair grow.
machine.
Um,
And then they walk out because they have to get to school.
hmm So they said it.
So
No.
Sid opens up this like cooler,
hmm
and this
And then the
this jar
laser,
of this blue stuff comes
and then the
out.
laser hits it, and then it zaps them,
Well, it ricochets
which,
off.
which according to Barry was set at with
500.
Ronaldo, it was set at 2. With Barry,
It was
or
set.
I mean, with them, it was set at 400.
Yeah.
So then it takes them a while, but they find out that they can time travel. Um, let's see. And Shelby is like forcing Sid to essentially like not eat breakfast, even though she's hungry. And as a result, feel free to comment.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't exactly work. She gets her foot caught in a bucket, which kind of like messes everything up. And then nobody asks him
Yeah.
to
The
the
first
dance.
time, and he's like,
Mhm.
"That is so cool. I'm in."
If someone had done that, if someone had asked me to do that, I would have definitely said yes. And so then they hug, and then or Sid and Shelby hug, and then they find out that they can time travel
Yep. So
because
they
it's
do
now
the
back
day over
to
again.
yeah, the day over again, and it's like, are we having a nightmare? It's during the day. Are we having a daymare? Yeah, we're having a daymare. There's no such thing. I know. The show has various bits of dialogue like that.
Okay. First time seeing the show.
Mm-hmm. You didn't notice that when it kind of like pointed out its own comments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then they try to go back again. This time,
They want to be prepared, and she's standing by Barry's. Well, when the Korean girl or the Asian girl,
played by
she's on Bizarre.
she's Frankie Wong on Bizarre Dark. Let me just see. Keep talking while I look it up.
Okay, so then the Asian girl comes over and says, "Hey, can I talk to you or whatever?" And then that's when Sid takes her to the side, and
Marcy.
Marcy. Okay, and then who's the other girl? Sid and who?
Shelby.
Shelby. Shelby goes to stand by his locker, And then she turns away from Marcy and gets her foot caught in the cleaning bucket.
And as a result, the
Ends
dude
up putting
Cameron
Shelby aside.
Cameron then thinks that it was Sid that was asking him to the dance.
Yep.
We'll get into the her part later. Or should that be a separate thing?
Doesn't matter.
Because it's gonna have to be mentioned. So then they say in the future everything will be fine, so they hug, and then they find out 2 years in the future in 2017.
Yep.
Where one of the dude has like a really big mustache.
Yeah, he's in the mustache club.
And there's...
you have to say, in the beginning, he has just a little bit of hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's almost like in the future, in 2 years, it's almost like, your handlebar mustache. It's not quite that much, but he's got more mustache.
And one of the funny bits was that Sid was asking, like, hey, do you have a crisp, clean dollar? And Marcy says, well, I have this dollar, but my grandfather gave it to me. It's the last thing. Fine, I'll take it.
And
she doesn't use it, but she then says...
think that the vending machine wouldn't take that either.
But it was crisp. It wasn't, like, crinkled. That might have helped.
But
yeah, 2 years later, she says, oh, I remember that day. It's when I lost my grandfather's dollar. Oh, just take it.
Sid gives it back to her.
Which is pretty funny. There's a lot of, like, fast lines like that they go by so fast I wish I could remember them. I would say the show is kind of like a cross between maybe Jesse and maybe Austin and Ally.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, they then kind of get into a fight because Shelby prevented Sid from hanging out with Cameron, and then it got into about how Shelby was very very stern over her life, over Sid's life, including like the room, waking up, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So technically in the future, she moved in with another friend, and then Marcy and Shelby became best friends.
Yeah.
They even had a certain handshake, and Shelby's
that was a hilarious rough.
Shelby's like, no, we don't.
I don't remember this, and then it was like clap, clap, clap. It's like, why did we make it so long?
Yeah. She goes, oh, I know this.
I don't know what that might be a reference to. Maybe that's a reference to like people who have like really confusing handshakes or
maybe.
secret handshakes or something.
Maybe.
So yeah, there is a fight. They are like upset with each other, but then
Sid ends up back in the boys' trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shelby shows up when they go outside because they have to take a mixture of two
types of liquid which will explode in 20 seconds.
Right. And he says, we have 20 seconds to get outside, put this in a glass box before it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shelby shows up and talks to Sid.
And then there is, a kind of a heartwarming moment about how they realize that, you need me, I need you, even though we're different. And Sid's husband, Channing Tatum.
Yeah. She wrote a toast at their wedding.
And then they hug, and then they go back to 2 years before, and then they realize that whenever they touch, that they can say the day, and then they touch, and that's when they'll time travel too.
Mm-hmm.
Brett and Chet, the twin brothers.
Oh God.
They wanted to give flowers, but only one of them did, so they ended up hitting each other with the flowers.
Right, they both had gotten flowers for her.
And then they wrote on their stomachs. One of them said
Yo,
and one of them said Rick when it should have said You Rock, and they were like, who is Rick? And it's like, dang it, you messed up. No, you messed up. No, you messed up. No, you messed up.
Yeah. So twin redheaded boys start bickering.
Mm-hmm. Then they decide to do like a jump into the future where it looks like they're about to be dissected.
Yeah. Well, they went way into the future.
And then there's a final hilarious. There's a pretty funny. Some we haven't mentioned yet. The dog.
Oh, true.
Who?
Diesel.
Yeah. Who? It wasn't really in this episode a whole lot, but had like a pretty funny moment at the very end. I don't want to spoil it, but
Well,
it's
at the very
pretty fun.
beginning too.
Yeah, but I think the ending
Wasn't
part
that
is
Shelby's pillow?
probably, but I think the ending part was much funnier.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Brett and Chet doing a saying like, "Hey Sid, thank you," in a very over the top way, and they were like, they decide to fast forward through, or they decide to jump forward, and then they're like, "Okay, we've got to see this."
Yeah. They did like a cruise ship type show.
Yeah,
The boys.
complete with showgirls in the background.
And they had shiny shirts and that. So as they're unpacking Sid's stuff, Shelby is like, let's not go to school or whatever. One of them
Yeah.
said it.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
Then
oh.
she's like, but I have everything set for, what's his name? Cameron's locker and everything. And she's like, oh, well. And then it ends up Marcy is by Cameron's locker.
I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. He says, I'll go to the dance with you. And Marcy is standing there. So,
Like, huh?
yep.
What did you think of the episode?
So. I don't know. Maybe I need to see a couple more. But if this is the premiere of the show, I can see where young adults would like it. But
I'm sorry.
yeah,
It's been heavily speculated that Barry and Ronaldo are kind of like Disney's version of Sheldon and Leonard from Big Bang Theory.
oh, maybe. Yeah,
Which
I can see that.
I can definitely see that. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And not just because they're scientists, but it's very obvious.
But I didn't think Ronaldo was. Is that his name? One
Yeah,
of the guys?
Ronaldo's the one with the hat. He's like more of a Leonard. Well, he's kind of like
not really a scientist because he
yeah.
wants to like play with the experiments.
he's kind of like a Leonard / Dez from Austin and Alley.
Yeah.
Except
He's not as
except
goofball.
smarter.
He's
Yeah,
not a
he's
goofball like
smarter.
Dez. He wants to play with the experiments.
But Barry is very much like Sheldon.
Yeah.
In more, it's very obvious, in more ways than one. Let's see. Did you have a favorite line?
No, not really.
The problem with this one is that there were a lot of
There's
like,
a lot of quick.
yeah, there's a lot of quick lines that kind of like makes fun of like TV show tropes and even like makes references or yeah, like just one of them is like they go back to the room like the third time, and Sid is saying like, "Don't drop me," or "Don't drop me," and drops anyway.
Yeah. Well, are you gonna give the spoiler with Diesel at the end?
No, I'm gonna keep that a secret.
Okay.
Should we talk about the Sid and Shelby rumors, or
No.
should that be
No.
a separate thing?
That should be later. That it can be confirmed.
Well, the show ended before it was confirmed.
Oh, okay.
It's just heavy speculation, and it took me a few episodes, but I noticed it, and you noticed it too. Should we?
Yep. No.
Should we do it as a separate thing?
I think it should be in a later episode. This is a premiere.
Okay,
Let it have its day.
but it's pretty there.
yeah, there's hints.
Anyway, we'll be back with. We're doing this in order. This was A Time to Travel. We forgot to mention, and the next episode is called A Time to Cheat.
Oh, that's interesting.
Until
Okay.
next time.
See you later.
See ya whenever.